Hi everyone, good to have you join us today for a very different webinar than our regular core technical hardware security sessions. My name is Antriksh and I'm part of the hardwear.io team. At hardwear.io, we are creating a platform where we brainstorm ideas to defend and attack various hardware devices. We have been running a conference in the Netherlands and in US since 2015, and it revolves around key concerns related to backdoor, firmware, embedded attacks, and protocol security issues. We also have our hands-on live hardware security trainings coming up in the month of September. Do check our website for more information. Today's webinar is by Kai Eins, who's the CEO of the go-to place where fixers want to fix any hardware. He's going to talk to us about as we secure the Internet of Things, we are accidentally locking out fixers and thinkers from the current hardware ecosystem. So let's welcome Kyle to deliver his presentation on building a repairable future. The format for today's webinar is pretty simple. 30 minutes of Kyle's presentation and 10 minutes for Q&A. But participants, if you all have any questions, please use the Zoom chat to type in your question. Kyle would answer them after he finishes his presentation. Kyle, let's begin.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. I'm going to take you all on a little bit of a whirlwind tour of the world of hardware, right to repair, and what my life is like. But first, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction to iFixit. iFixit is a open source repair community. Our goal is to teach everybody in the world how to fix their things. We have about 10 million people a month on iFixit, learning how to fix something, whether it's an iPhone or a kitchen, say a kettle, whatever it is. We have service manuals for all kinds of gizmos. And we also do teardowns of the latest hardware when it comes out. And our high level goal is to enable more repair, get more people fixing things, prevent sort of the e-waste tragedy from becoming our future. In some places in the world, there's a lot more repair and reuse happening than elsewhere. We were just talking about my adventures in Delhi and traveling around India. It has been very clear that there is a much stronger repair culture in India than there is elsewhere in the world, say where I'm at in California. And I think that that is an area where the Indian community and culture is just objectively better than the American culture, and it's something that we need to learn from. So we are trying to bring back this culture of repair and to set up these repair technicians as heroes, as people that we can look up to. But of course, fixing things in this day and age involves a lot more software than the traditional hardware approach. And so I'm going to talk about some of the various obstacles that we're seeing pop up to repair when it starts involving intellectual property. And my background, I'm a software engineer, so I can get as technical as all of you want, and we can dive into the details of what technological protection measures look like. Fundamentally, iFixit's goal is to teach everybody how to fix their things. We can't teach you how to fix something if you need to jailbreak in order to do the repair and there's no jailbreak available. So we need practical, accessible approaches to fixing things. Before we dive into some of the legal technicalities, I'll just give you sort of a classic iFixit example. I think this product is really only sold in the US. This is a Starbucks barista. Starbucks has decided to name their coffee making robots the same thing as their coffee making humans. I think that's a very cruel thing for them to do. But this is a Starbucks barista, and the barista has, I get if this is the sort of tragedy of running a company called iFixit is everyone gives you their broken things. So I was given this barista, it didn't work. And he said, "Do you want it?" And I said, "Sure." And so I had no idea how to fix the thing. I just took it apart and I posted some information online. What it turned into, you see that there's an edit button on this step. Over time, people started improving my instructions. I started getting emails from people saying, "Hey, thanks so much for helping me fix my thing." So I don't need to explain the way open source works to all of you, but that's what we've done. This is an open source repair community where it's all a wiki, and and you can learn and get better. And people are like, hey, look, the heating element goes out, just use a multimeter and measure the resistance across that. And if it's burned out, then you won't have any conductivity across the heating element. Makes sense to me. Across iFixit, people are fixing all kinds of things. We use the experiences that our community has to give feedback to manufacturers and to try to make products more repairable. And at a high level, what we're trying to do is go from this linear economy where we dig things out of the ground, use them for a little while, and toss them away, to something that's more of a circular economy. And this is the circular economy. Okay, so normally I talk about material flows, and we talk about how the metals, move from the ground all the way through to the user, and then this outer loop. This outer loop here is recycling, maybe refurbishing. Repair is where we'd like to sit. Let's think about this from a software lifecycle perspective. Where are the pieces in the stage where a user might need to modify software? At what point? Let's say a product is happily in the use phase, and Google buys the company and shuts off the servers, which is what happened with the Nest Revolve Home Hub. And so you have people who had their home automation system, say their sprinkler system is tied into their Revolve Home Hub, and all of a sudden the servers get shut off. Well, what do? Well, it's amusingly the exact same problem as if you're an EverQuest fan. I don't know if any of you are old enough to play EverQuest, but EverQuest, amazing MMORPG before the World of Warcraft days. And they shut the servers off. So if you want to keep playing EverQuest with your friends, what do? Well, you have to reverse engineer the server, build your own server, crack your client software to talk to the new server, and then you're off to the races. And if this seems ludicrous to do for your home hub, I think it's going to be the future. I think that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to take ownership of our devices and wrest control of them away from these, cloud connected one-to-one pairing. We've seen some, Sonos is deprecating some of their old hardware, and they're saying, well, we can just brick your hardware for you. You're like, no, I don't want you to brick my smart hardware. I just want it to stop talking to you and let me run my plain vanilla Linux system. I think that the biggest success of product that where the software and the hardware sort of coexist in a way that extends lifespans dramatically is with wireless routers. You can use, and I'll bust out of here and we'll go, DDWRT, right? DDWRT is amazing. It's a open source firmware to run on your wireless router, and it doesn't matter if you have a Linksys or Netgear router that the manufacturer isn't providing patches for, because the DDWRT community is doing it already. And so the more that we can have a common baseline of standardized platforms and then secure open source software that we can run on it, then that provides owners the possibility of extending the lifespan. Most manufacturers don't want to deal with a product for more than a year or two after it comes out. I'll give you another example. Samsung has these smart refrigerators with touchscreens in them. And let's see. We'll just Google a little bit here. This is not a ridiculous thing to be talking about doing, and there are many reasons why you might do it. And so people are talking about jailbreaking that ties in. So Google changed the API for their calendar integration. So something that you might want on your smart refrigerator is your list of calendar entries for the day. Well, Google changed the API. Samsung never bothered to issue an update for the refrigerator to talk to the new API. And so you have these year-old refrigerators that were very expensive with fancy touchscreens, and the calendar doesn't work. And Samsung doesn't care because they just want to sell you a new refrigerator. So in order to get in and make your calendar work, you have to root the operating system and then get in and provide your own patch to make your calendar work. And people absolutely have done this successfully. This is where the world of like using products and tinkering with them and doing security research and fixing them all comes together, because it turns out it's all fundamentally the same thing. It is basically anytime you want to do something with your device that you don't have permission from the manufacturer for, now you're in the world of hardware hacking. And so this is there's sort of two main thrusts to the right to repair movement. One is saying to the manufacturers, hey, you need to provide us with the tooling to be able to repair our products. Let's say that the refrigerator has a setting that controls which calendar API it talks to, but maybe that wasn't made available in user space. There's a system configuration setting. Well, we ought to have access to the system configurations for the products that we have. Right now, we're increasingly being locked out. The default is let's make it as easy to use as possible, and any kind of service or diagnostic interfaces aren't available to the user. And so there is a wave of right to repair legislation that is being introduced around the world. There's conversations in Australia, Canada, 20 different US states. Europe has said that as part of their circular economy plans, they're going to be introducing right to repair laws. They passed a very, very lightweight non-software right to repair law for appliances last year. The most recent right to repair law that passed in the world that has had a really big impact was the Massachusetts Automotive Right to Repair Bill in 2012. And what that did was said that the software diagnostics to talk to the car to get standard error codes had to be modernized and standardized across manufacturers. And that is what's led to the modern OBD2 port and standard CAN bus diagnostic codes that you can pull off for a car. Overall, the standardized repair situation is quite a bit better for cars than it is for other products. And so I've been leading an organization that has been working on introducing legislation that is based on the Massachusetts bill across the US and Europe to extend those automotive standardization protections around making sure that we have access to tools and information to products other than cars. And it's basically everything other than cars. So it's farm equipment, tractors. I'll talk about tractors here in a minute. It is medical equipment, things like ventilators, which are really important right now. It turns out you can jailbreak ventilators. You can actually jailbreak a BiPAP machine and turn it into a ventilator, which is pretty cool. If you take the firmware off the ventilator and load it onto the BiPAP machine, it turns it into a ventilator. Pretty cool. There are and then of course, things like smartphones and everything else. So this is the original right to repair law that was passed in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts has a very interesting legislative approach. Some places in the US do this where individual voters can vote on a specific issue. So this was actually 2.3 million people in Massachusetts voted in favor of this right to repair bill, which is pretty cool. And there is another bill that is coming up. It will also be question 1 on the ballot in a couple months, following up on this, saying in addition to the wired repair diagnostics, it will require that the wireless telematics also be available. And it's not just read access to the wireless telematics, it's a two-way diagnostic. And so we can talk about how we can secure that. Is going to be a very, very interesting challenge. The ballot initiative says that third parties must have secure two-way communication to the car. I know. We'll see. So some things that manufacturers have been using, some ways that they have locked down competition. This is a letter that a friend of mine got. Tim Hicks ran this website very creatively named Tim's Laptop Repair Manuals. And he would post service manuals for all kinds of things. Toshiba sent him this legal takedown notice. And so in response, we launched Operation Fix Toshiba and had people send us laptops or send us money to buy laptops to replace all the service manuals that had been taken offline. We made Toshiba a new logo in the process. I know their PR folks were really happy with me for that. And so overall, we've been moving in this direction. But one of the reasons that repair information and schematics are so important for right to repair is the number of product models in the world. This is the number of iPhones. It's a pie chart. This is reasonable. There's obviously there's newer iPhones since then, but there are not that many iPhone models overall. This is the Android landscape. It is so fragmented that we are trying very hard at iFixit to create an open source service manual for everything. But doing it in isolation without help from all of these manufacturers is a nigh impossible task. And so you have to have access to detailed information, detailed part supply chain, detailed diagnostic software for every single one of these products. When we think about consumer psychology, one of the things that has been a real barrier, I think, to people getting in and fixing things, I think security researchers, we see a warranty void if removed sticker and we're like, ooh, that's the first place I'm going. But the rest of the public does not necessarily. And these warranty void if removed stickers are a real deterrent for people working on equipment. When I encourage people to fix their broken thing, they'll say, well, what about the warranty? And my first question is, well, if it's already broken, why didn't you take it to the manufacturer if the warranty was going to cover it? And that's that's interesting. But the other thing, these stickers, it's just like it's almost you have to have permission to open these things up. So I have news for you. These stickers are completely illegal in the United States. They're unenforceable, and we got the Federal Trade Commission to start sending letters to companies telling them to stop putting these stickers in products. And we are thrilled to say that Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft have all stopped doing that. And we're going to continue on them. We've been going after appliance manufacturers that have been doing this. So if you see any warranty void if removed stickers, send them to me and I will get that company a nasty gram and make them stop. There are other approaches that are frustrating. Apple has been going after companies for trademark infringement for importing service parts. Microsoft went after Eric Lundgren. This was a refurbishing license issue. He made a bunch of replacement restore disks for Dell laptops. So this was like the Windows driver disk. And Microsoft sued him and said that every single restore disk that he sold that were just clones of the software that didn't have a license key with them, they were just software backup restore disks. They said that each of those was worth a Windows license of $150, and he had imported 10,000 of them, and so you can do the math. It was a lot of money. Meanwhile, Eric is just this poor recycler trying to help people fix old Dell laptops, and has traveled around the world talking about the problems with e-waste. Eric spent 18 months in prison as a result of this. So thanks, Microsoft. Here's the, and you can see. This is if you don't read Tech Dirt, they're a fantastic copyright IP website. So there was petitions. It was a whole thing. So the last thing I want to mention is, in addition to the right to repair work that is going on, we also have problems with the DMCA. This is the U.S. Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and with the DMCA. And I'm going to pull up section 1201. And I realize that this is a global audience and maybe only a few of you are in the US, but US copyright law has this nasty tendency of spreading around the world. We as a imperialist empire are very proud of our movie studios in Hollywood. And so we tend to export our copyright protections to every country that we do business with. So section 1201 says, and I apologize for going into legalese here, but it says that no person shall circumvent a technological measure that controls access to a work protected under this title. And unfortunately, work protected under this title includes software. Software is generally covered under copyright. And of course, all of the embedded software that runs the hardware that we know and love and secure, that embedded software is protected under copyright. And so what this says is that you cannot circumvent a lock, a technological measure. You cannot circumvent a lock that is protecting access to a copyrighted work. So you cannot break a lock that is protecting access to software. So in a word, this makes jailbreaks illegal. It is not legal to jailbreak an iPhone because the software that is protecting that lock is protecting access to the software underneath. The first example of this law really being used was when there was a Motorola Razr, back in the Motorola Razr flip phone days. The Motorola Razr was, there was a carrier unlock, so you can move it from one phone carrier to another, that Sina Konafar was leveraging, and Motorola sued Sina for copyright infringement under section 1201 of the US Copyright Act. Okay, now there's an escape hatch. Jailbreaking is legal now, and the reason jailbreaking is legal is because lower down in the statute there is a section where it says that you can get exemptions to 1201. And the way these exemptions work is every 3 years we apply. And so we work really closely with the Electronic Frontier Foundation and others to apply for exemptions to this law. Unfortunately, they have determined that every type of gizmo out there requires a separate exemption. So we had to apply for an exemption for jailbreaking iPhones, and then a separate exemption for jailbreaking iPads, and then a separate exemption for jailbreaking Apple Watches. And we're telling them, like, it is the same damn software that runs on all of these. Why do we have to apply for different exemptions? But this is the state of affairs right now. And this is not just a US issue. Mexico right now is considering implementing a Copyright Act. It passed the Senate the other day that is just as bad, if not worse, as this law. As a software engineer, it is infuriating to me that you can pass a law that says it is illegal to break a technological lock, because what that means is that certain kinds of math are illegal, right? The DCSS algorithm that removes the CSS copy protection scheme from DVDs, it is illegal for me to show you that algorithm. It's on Wikipedia, by the way. But it is illegal under this statute to do very common things that we do every day, right? I mean, it is commonplace to bypass technological protection measures. So this is an evil law. It needs to be repealed. It needs to be fought in every jurisdiction in every country. Every trade treaty, the Trans-Pacific Partnership that the U.S. was working on the Pacific side of things, in the Atlantic, TTIP, the same one. Both of those treaties had this evil law in it. We got to do everything we can to fight back on that, but both for repair, but also for security research. And then on the right to repair side of things, there's a real opportunity to pass new right to repair laws. And so what's the interaction between a right to repair law like Massachusetts law and a fix to the DMCA Copyright Act? It's basically the right to repair says, sell me the tool, sell me the wrench or the screwdriver or the digital diagnostic tool to talk to the refrigerator and fix it. And fix the DMCA would say, make it legal for me to whittle my own screwdriver. So we are hackers and tinkers, and all of you are probably capable of whittling your own screwdriver. But the masses, most people are not. And so it would be nice if you could buy the diagnostic tool if and where and when you needed to. So with that, I will stop rambling and turn it over to you guys for questions. The global repair movement is going strong. Repair.org is organizing and leading a lot of it. In Europe, it's repair.eu, and of course, iFixit is at the front of the fight as well.
All right, that was really short and quick to summarize how can we build a repairable future. Kyle, we have some questions. Let me read out the first one to you. What's the difference between jailbreak and rooting the device?
Pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are different kinds of, so there's a difference between unlocking and jailbreaking on phones, anything with a cellular chip. Unlocking is bypassing the lock on the cellular baseband, which has its own firmware on it, right? Where jailbreaking is basically rooting the devices, getting access. Yeah. Right. I think jailbreak may be more of an iOS term and rooting is more Android.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
All right. There's another question with regards to repairing that includes firmware. How do you handle proprietary firmware? Manually reverse engineer and create patches?
I mean, it's up to whatever community is working on it. And this is a real challenge. So this is something I think all of you could contribute to, is if you identify an abandoned device, please, develop a replacement. Let's see if we can, break through whatever. Usually it's really trivial, lame security. Break through that and install something better and more secure on it. We have to, these manufacturers have such short attention spans. They'll make a product, they'll make a internet connected toaster or whatever it is, and they'll sell it for 12 months. And then they've got, iToaster 2.0, and they forget about the first toaster that they sold. And you're like, but the last toaster I bought lasted 10 years. And you're saying this new toaster is only, around as long as you're going to provide security. It's crazy. These manufacturers are used to a traditional model where they tool up and they run their factory. And then when the factory stops making the thing, they forget about it and they move on to the next thing. But that's not how you support a product, right? Microsoft and Linux and these software projects, we understand once you ship something, you're maintaining it and you're putting security updates out there for a long time. The traditional physical product manufacturers don't understand that. And so they're doing the world, I think, a great disservice, and they're introducing vulnerabilities in every single home. LG's website says that you should check for security patches for your refrigerator every other month. So you can imagine every single gizmo in your house. I like to call the Internet of Things the Internet of outdated Linux distributions.
Okay.
Or the Internet of Shit, depending on who you are. If you don't follow the Twitter feed, Internet of Shit, it is absolutely fantastic.
All right. I have received another question in a private chat. How do small time shop repairs, fight against these large OEMs?
Yeah, so one fix at a time. I'll show you. We'll push the envelope of what is legal to do on a call. I'm just going to Google for iPhone schematic. So if you go on the streets of Delhi, like if you go to Rajpatlai or some of these electronics markets, you will see people doing board level repairs. They're doing board level repairs with schematics like this. So this is Union Repair. So that's actually a US phone repair place. But you have to have these detailed schematics telling you, hey, this is the value of this resistor. Because if you have a surface mount resistor that you need to replace, you can't tell the value of it. One, because it's broken, so you can't measure it. And two, it's not printed on the side of it like resistors used to be. So you either have to have a schematic or you have to have another one that's good that you can measure the value of the part. So these schematics, which are really engineering diagrams, are highly essential, and they are used across the board for repairs of products. And that's so I would say the repair shops are fighting back by figuring out how to fix things and fixing them anyway. And of course, every product that is fixed is one that the manufacturers are not selling new. But we need to push back more systemically. We need to legitimize this activity where this is like borderline illegal under the Copyright Act to do. But of course, it's highly common. So let's legitimize the activities that are already happening.
And
Schematicstore.com.
a follow-up response would be if there is any legal issue against these small shops or small time repair guys, they could reach out to EFF, right?
Yeah, EFF, absolutely, or repair.org or repair.eu. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and EFF has been very involved in the right to repair fight. Yeah.
All right. If there are any other questions, okay, there is one. What is the status of another US-based DNC exemption extension?
Yeah, so I'm gonna
DMCA.
DMCA. Yeah. Okay. So every 3 years we apply for exemptions. So it has been 3 years. It's time to apply for exemptions again. Actually, it's been 2 years. We have about a year to apply. So just last week we had the deadline to submit to request renewal of our existing petitions, and so we applied to renew all of the existing petitions. And then coming up September 8th, there's a deadline for new applications. So if you have, let's say that in a natural gas pipeline, there's a telematics interface and maybe the manufacturer isn't around anymore and you want to be able to break encryption so that you can load new firmware on and have a new company support it. Or let's say that you're a airplane maintenance company and Gulfstream won't provide you with the diagnostic software that you need. And so you need to bypass a security password or something that they have. Or let's say you're a hospital and you need to work on a ventilator, but there's a security password. Those are all examples of the kinds of things that we could apply for exemptions for. And I can show you on the Copyright Office's website. I'll show you where you apply. So feel free to just submit an application. EFF is working on applications. We're working on applications. So this is the uscopyright.gov 1201. I don't even think you have to be a US citizen to apply for a exemption. And so they're gonna, here, section 12, oh, that's the law. That's not helpful. Where is oh, here we go. Got to click on here. And then this is the submission page. Yeah, and it's not too burdensome to submit. Really, the main thing is that we have to prove that there's a lock. So before you can apply for an exemption, you have to say, well, I want to be able to jailbreak tractors. Well, is the tractor locked down in the first place? If you can prove the tractor is locked, that there is a digital lock, and that could be anything. That could be a password. It could be a write protection bit, whatever it is. All of you, I'm sure, can imagine what sort of protections, but the law is vague, and so a spectrum of security mechanisms, I think any of them could be considered technological protection measure. So if you want to get involved, feel free to pick your hardware of choice and apply for an exemption for it.
All right. I have one last question, Kyle. What is your message to the hardware community on how they could create more awareness and be a part of repair.org or stuff like this?
Sure. We would love to have you join Repair.org as a member, and then you can join our Slack and be involved in the discussion. We need more software security experts. We also have a coalition of security experts, securerepairs.org. And I would encourage you to join that list. There's a lot of very prominent security researchers there. When there are right to repair laws that get introduced, I'll give you an example. This, I don't know if this, we have a story going up on iFixit today. I'm going to see if it's up. Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll share my screen one more time, and I'm going to share my computer's sound real fast. So in the fight again on the Massachusetts ballot initiative, so this is this law coming up, the car manufacturers paid to take out this ad. Now, what this bill would say is that other people have to have, other mechanics have to have access to the wireless data coming off of your car.
If Question 1 passes in Massachusetts, anyone could access the most personal data stored in your vehicle. The Federal Trade Commission warns your address could be paired with your garage codes to give easy access to your home. Domestic violence advocates say a sexual predator could use the data to stalk their victims. Vote no on 1. Keep your data safe.
Okay, so this is ludicrous. This is the kind of like a common sense perspective would be very helpful here. So we need security experts weighing in and saying this is crazy. I can't even keep track of all the falsehoods in that. But this actually, this argument has been successful at stopping right to repair laws in the past, where they've said, look, anyone can hack your thing if this passes. Well, you already put a two-way wireless communication interface in the car that the manufacturers have access to. So why is, my insurance company having access to the car any different than Ford having access to the car? Toyota's dealerships got hacked last year. This is not, once you put a modem in the car, you kind of sunk yourself. I think that these cars ought to have an internet, like a physical off switch inside the car that you have to flip, and then there's a light and then okay, it's transmitting, and then you flip it off and it disconnects power to the modem. That would be my approach to securing this thing. Anyway, this is just an example of the ad hominem attacks that we see from the opposition. So we need experts. We need security researchers. We need software engineers. We need academics. We need people involved countering this sort of fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
All right, Kyle. Thank you very much for this amazing, cool talk from your end and creating more awareness about repairable future, and also encouraging more thinkers and makers to contribute to this. Friends, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave us a feedback about today's webinar. And also I would request you all to join us for our upcoming webinar that's scheduled next week. Until then, take care and stay safe. Thank you, Kyle, again. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.